Well, I think the whole of Teesside's in shock over yesterday's result. There's not really anything positive to say about it. The team were poor, they didn't turn up for the match, they were played off the park by a middling championship side, Cardiff City. We looked inept in terms of tactics, we didn't seem to have any ideas once Cardiff went ahead. Defensively we were all over the place, which is quite unusual. We conceded 2 very soft goals and could have conceded more. The first goal, the Boro defence seemed to fall asleep when Whittingham had the ball at his feet. There was nobody really challenging. And also the way they failed to deal with the long throws from Capaldi was poor because they've had weeks to work on that. And the second goal was a simple free kick, well taken, but a simple free kick. And Pogatetz fell asleep at the back post for Johnson to head home. So 2 very poor goals, but that was only 23 minutes into the match. There was plenty of time for Middlesbrough to at least stage some sort of rally, and they never did that. They were very poor. As I've said, they didn't look as though they had any particular plan of attack. The ball did occasionally find its way out to Downing, but he didn't get any support. The front 2 were playing very well apart from each other. They didn't link up at all. They were relying on long punts from the back. And the Cardiff defenders had a field day. They just knew exactly what to do. Boro had no threat on the right once again, and that's worrying because that's an area of the field that was supposed to be addressed in the summer. O'Neill's come in, he hasn't really made that position his own. He's not getting wide. Perhaps Boro need to have a big rethink in that position because everything's going down the left, and if you close that channel down, you pretty much close Middlesbrough down. Throughout the team, there's big problems. The midfield, there's no creativity, again, apart from Downing. Julio Arca's really struggling at the moment. It's probably time that he was rested. Rockenbach's just come back from injury. He tried hard enough, but to no real great end product. And as I mentioned, O'Neill really, he's not scoring goals, so there's a big problem there in terms of contributions from that area of the pitch. At the back, as I say, the central defenders were a lot shaky early on, and that's unusual because Huth and Wheater as a partnership have been superb over the last few weeks when they've been able to play together. Huth's had a little bit of a time out, and perhaps that's unsettled them. Pogatetz at left back was never his strongest position, and you could make an argument the grounds has done nothing wrong. Why change it? And perhaps make Huth wait to get back in the team because Middlesbrough, they conceded last week a late goal, but it's because Boro aren't scoring goals at the other end. It's putting increasing pressure on the defenders to keep a clean sheet. It's vitally important now that the players pull themselves together and get the chins up for Wednesday night's match at Aston Villa. It's a huge game for Middlesbrough, especially given that they're going to Arsenal, who desperately need a win on Saturday. So Villa, out of the 2 games, you would expect to be the one where Middlesbrough can get some points. As I say, it's vital that Southgate gets his players fired up for the match. They've got to play with much more passion than they showed on Sunday. They've got to play with desire, heart, play for the shirt. They've got to show people that they really do want to be at this club because there was no evidence on Sunday that they wanted to play for Middlesbrough Football Club. There was a Wembley semi-final there for the taking, and really the way the draw was looking, a Wembley final, and it was thrown away in the most insipid fashion possible. I don't think anybody can have any complaints about the amount of stick that's flying about this week because of that display. And so, like I say, they've got to go to Villa Park and really put on a show, and that means that they've got to start from the first whistle to the last whistle, 110%. It's a cliche, but it stands firm for this particular match. If at any time in football, you've got to go and make your next performance much, much better. And I think, Aston Villa are a good, strong side, but Middlesbrough have a chance to go down there and get something. A draw would be a positive outcome because the league is looking a little bit shaky at the moment. 4 points is the gap, and with the next 2 games coming up, that gap could be shortened if Middlesbrough don't pick points up. The teams around them, some are dropping points, some are picking them up, so it's going to be a bit of a dogfight from now till the end of the season. But if they're going with the attitude that they showed on Sunday, they've got no chance against Aston Villa or Arsenal. That's why I say it's absolutely vital that they show that they really have a pride for the shirt and for the badge, that they earn the money that they're all getting. They're getting very, very good salaries to play professional football. Gareth Southgate will now be weighing up whether or not to make changes. He told the Gazette on Sunday after the match that it's not out of question that he will make 1 or 2 changes to the team. There are things that need to happen. The central midfield area needs some sort of injection of life. There's no goals from that area, there's very little creativity. As I've said, Julio Arca's struggling for his form. I think most people agree he needs a rest, he needs to recharge his batteries. He needs to be given time to get back that hunger that he showed earlier in the season. I'm not sure that central role particularly suits him. For an Argentinian player who squanders possession too easily, you'd expect him to guard the ball and to possess the ball much more than he does. Rockenbach is trying hard. He's been in and out through injury and what have you. He has been actually one of our better players, but again on Sunday he didn't really convince anybody. Stuart Downing obviously is a must start. He's our only real creative outlet, and he scores the goals. And on the right, I think it's time for a shake-up there as well. Perhaps move Gary O'Neill inside alongside Rockenbach. Play Tunjai on the right-hand side of midfield. Got to keep Alves in the team. I was disappointed to see him come off at half-time yesterday, because at the end of the day he cost nearly £13 million. If he's the striker we think he is, then he should be playing 90 minutes against Cardiff and proving that he is the great striker. I'm sure he didn't want to come off. The service to him was diabolical. If he's going to be a good player for Middlesbrough, we need to play to his strengths. People will say Mido again, huffed and puffed, but he's a big target man. Perhaps if he plays more of a partnership with Alves, and like I say, we use Tunjai on the right, then perhaps that gives us some threat. Gareth might be tempted to just play one up front and pack the midfield, and that's an option, of course, against Aston Villa, who are having a very good season. And perhaps a little bit of a negative move, however, given that Boro need to take at least a point, and you've got to accept that they're probably going to have to score a goal to get a point. If he plays 5 in midfield, then he's got to play, perhaps bring Boateng or Catamol in. I'd like to see Catamol get some time in the team, and also Adam Johnson. I think things haven't gone well. 3 defeats in 4. Perhaps it's time that Adam Johnson got a run in the team to show what he can do alongside Downing as well. One on each flank, switching it around. It hasn't worked particularly well in the past, but that's not to say it couldn't work any better than the current team are doing. And at the back, he's perhaps got to think, well, do I stick with the players who played on Sunday, or do I change it around again? Young is available. He's got Pogatetz at left back, but perhaps his best position's in the centre. Grounds, as I said earlier, didn't let anybody down in his spell with the club, so there's a lot for Gareth Southgate to ponder. I just think they really need to show a better attitude, whoever runs out wearing that Boro shirt. And let's hope we sat here on Thursday or Friday talking about a fine Boro performance that pushed some of the complaints and problems from Sunday behind us.